Guys and dolls. A bit windy in Scotland, so it is. You'll hear the trees as I'm walking through the forest here. It's quite loud, so it is. But I just want to do a wee video, so I do, about me and about my opinions on things. Mostly about I'm going to cover on this video is like good people doing bad things, and what it takes to turn somebody into somebody they're not, and how close you can come to becoming somebody you're not, and how difficult it is, and just tell you, I don't know how it will go. All I can do is start talking, and it'll just come out as I say it. But it's an issue that obviously that's happened to me that hasn't been nice, and it's been a common thread right through my young life, and that's being pinned down, held down by a multitude of men, right through young life into adulthood, with going from children's homes to prison officers, and what that's like, the damage it can do and stuff like that. I know it doesn't happen as much now, but I wouldn't like to think it happens enough. It happens in the prison still, but it doesn't happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen in children's homes. God knows what they do now, to be honest with you, because I don't know the answers. I'm not saying that any of this there was no other way of doing things. I don't know, It's just a very brutal way of doing things. But so in the children's homes, I would be pinned down, but in prison, I need to be honest again, because I think I need to get these kind of things off my chest, because they're pretty bad. And to have stuff like this in your head without talking about it, because I haven't talked about it. A lot of people know me and know what I was like back in the day, prison officers and other prisoners. But, this is why, and this is the side that you probably never ever hear. Nobody ever hears this side. Because I'm talking about times when I'm covered in my own poo, and times when I've got handfuls of it and I'm attacking the prison officers. And I know it sounds horrific, and it is horrible and horrific and disgusting, but I can't explain that. I can't really. All I can do is tell you why I was like that and where my head was at the time. I don't know if you can hear them trees. It's amazing, isn't it? But it was like I was damaged, I was damaged. I felt like, I never felt fear when all these times happened. I would be in punishment blocks, segregation, the whole, whatever you want to call it, in every jail. There's not a prison I've been in where I never spent quite a lot of time in their segregation. And that was common from 16 right through to about 24, 25, and then again later on in life. So yeah, come on Billy, down here. Just gotta watch my step. I'll let you see where I'm going, just so you understand. Yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Not a soul about, you never anybody about, it's nuts. And there's a golf ball I'd lost before. Yeah. Bailey. Here. She likes her golf balls. So yeah, it's pretty extreme stuff, But I've got to take you to where I was, where my head was and what was happening. So I was in situations with a lot of bad people. They were trying to do lots of bad things and behave in certain ways, because it's prison. And it's prison in the 80s and the 90s, up and down England and everywhere, Scotland, Barlinnie, serious prison Barlinnie, Even the prison officers fight each other in Barlinnie. That's how rough that is. But, it was really rough. And there was times when screws would be brutal, really brutal. And there was things that you would do, you wouldn't get slopping out. And I don't know if you know, but it used to be slop outs. Most of my prisons been in with slop outs where you're peeing and pooing in a container, in a pot. And if you didn't get that emptied, it was horrific, We used to have to do the number 2s in newspaper and put them out the window, And in most jails, it used to be the sex offenders that picked them, but that used to pick them up daily. 'Cause that was the only option. What else are you meant to do? You're in with a guy, you know. You can't have that in the cell all night. You couldn't do that to anybody, you know what I mean? So, you got to understand the conditions we were living in. Like, forget about showers and all that. You were lucky to get a shower. I mean, showers were dangerous. Showers were dangerous, especially when you look so young. And I was so young, you know what I mean? I turned 21 in England and I moved from the YOs into the adult system. And boy, I think I must have looked about 16 when I was 21. Like I say, guys used to whistle at me and everything, you know what I mean? I was terrified, you know what I mean? So it was a concoction of things, But, when my problem was I couldn't have people disrespect me and talk down to me and full of this madness, and as a young man, thinking I was a big boy and all the rest of it. And I would go ahead with the screws, you know what I mean, and they would go ahead with me. But it always turned out the same way. They'd be on top of me, my arms would be up my back, my legs would be up my back, and I would be taking the digger, trussed up like a turkey. And the only time I ever had any fear about that was whenever they were bringing me down flights from the different landings in Victorian jails. You've got it's like platforms going across different, from one side of the wings, and then there's like really thin, just about enough size to get a big person down these like gangways, steps. Sort of the same sort of thing you find on ships and stuff like that, very thin flighted steps. And you would be going down this head first with your arms behind your back, and everything was off the ground, and you're relying on the man that's got you, bring you down them steps to protect you. And like most of the time, they didn't care, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever happened. And it used to terrify me, because falling onto my neck, you'll see this a lot in working class areas. That's a microwave. There's a microwave. That's a wee heater. That's just a wee heater blower. Oh, no, in fact, that could be a toaster. No, it's a wee heater. It's a wee heater blower. I take it the rest was a bed at one time. I'll maybe come back and get the metal. And I'll collect metal. I'm a wee bit of a magpie when it comes to scrap metal. Like. But yeah. Billy! Yeah, so... Yeah, they used to be frightening going down the steps head first, And I think a lot of boys have been in this situation with me in Britain, in the prisons. But you totally understand that, but, it's the only time. But it was weird, you know what I mean? Because... See, whenever they were on top of me and they were holding me and like, I was sore. I've got problems in my shoulders to this day. I was never feared. I was never ever feared. This is the thing. Getting taken into a digger and all that, and then they'd all be in the digger, and the way it would work, you'd have 5 or 6 men on you, and then they'd try and get off you, because as soon as they get a leg go, you're lashing out, arm, anything, biting, anything. I used to grow my thumbnails long. So I did. Use anything to defend yourself in prison. Yeah, so one by one they would shout, like clear, and one would run to the door, and then there would be left 4 would be holding me. Then clear, another one would run to the door, and then they're down to 3, and the last 2 started getting a bit nervous, and who's going to be left, who's going to be last. It was nuts. The door. No, I'm not. You got to understand this. I'm not a big boy. This is a thing. It's not about your size, right? It's about what's in your heart. It's about what you bring to the table. You don't need to be a big guy in prison to do damage. This is the problem. Yeah. And like, so I'd already been through care, abused, and done the Rathgale thing, where I was put in a place for criminals when I hadn't committed a crime. And there was other stuff happened that I haven't spoke about yet. I'm sort of in two minds at the minute, because it's probably the worst part of my life, to be honest with you. Looking back, it's definitely horrific and horrible for me personally. So a lot of stuff happened, and then I was in the Crumlin Road prison as a loyalist prisoner, and I seen a lot of bad stuff. And then, in the High Bank was brutal, screws were just beat fuckety. My mates' arms were getting broken and everything. I was lucky, you know what I mean, but a lot of my mates got really, really badly beaten up by the screws in there. Because a wee quick one with it, High Bank was the young offenders in Belfast. So if you were a loyalist prisoner or a Republican prisoner, you would go into the YO landing, which is the bottom flat of A-Wing in Crumlin Road prison back in the day. But when you got sentenced, you were sent to High Bank, you know, and that's when the screws got their own back, you know what I mean? Because the prisoners run the prisons in Northern Ireland. Back in the day, anyway, the Crumlin Road was completely covered with prisoners. Prisoners controlled everything. If one commander said, do this, every man in the landing would do it. So you imagine that commander saying, every time a screw opens your door, attack him. How do they get round that one? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter if there's 10 screws at the door. These two men that's in that cell are attacking them, and it's just non-stop. You know, if the order's given out, piss pots to be thrown over them, you know, or worse, you know what I mean? So that was at 16, you know, that was at 16. So and then I does that sentence, then I get 6 years in England. So I'm 18. So you got to understand, like, you know, I was damaged, really, really damaged. You know what I mean? As a young man, completely, I hadn't had a breath of reality. Not one bit of, all I known is violence and brutality. You know, on the streets, off the streets. You know, and so by the time I got to this stage in England, like, I was brutal. I'll be honest, I was brutal, and like things I was doing was horrible. You know, but I'm trying to say is, I was never a bad person, and I know I'm laughing saying that because I know you're probably laughing at me saying this. Hey, you're fucking doing all that with your own poo and everything, and all, you know, doing other things, attacking other people and all that, you know. But you got to understand, I do say this, there was a lot of bad prison officers back in the day. There was a lot of real bad bullies. There was a lot of men took advantage of their power, you know. And these men would go into men's cells on their own, mob-handed. And that was never sat right with me, you know. If you want to have a go, come in on your own. At least it's a fair go, you know. You don't go in with your mates, and that was happening a lot. So it was in England. A lot of men were getting brutalised, and there'll be prison officers on here. Listen, there's an absolute amazing guy called Paz49, right? Paz, P-A-Z 49. He messaged me the other day. I was actually blown away by it, to be honest with you, because I've been watching him for years. And when I lost my wife and I was struggling and I was in the house and I had an addiction, I was watching him a lot, and he was doing walks and talks like I do, and he gave me the inspiration, believe it or not. You know, he really was. And I've told him, I don't think he really understands it. You know, his voice of reasoning and the madness that I was in at that time, I could relate to him because he was a prison officer and he was a soldier. You know what I mean? It was like I love soldiers. I grew up with soldiers. If you've known my story, man, geez, so much love for soldiers because of my upbringing in Belfast. And prison officers were a big part of my life. And even though I've had some really hard times and bad times, there's been some amazing prison officers, and they shine because they're not in an environment to be. It's difficult to be fair with people that are being nasty all the time, and like some people are horrible, the prison officers, you know, they really are. But I was never like that. I've always got on with prison officers that got on with me. I've always treated people fairly, you know. But the problem with me is I couldn't like let anybody say anything or do anything, and it just got me into so much trouble. But then when I was put in the digger in solitary confinement and I was left with no clothes, they'd beat the life out of me, rip all my clothes off me, and then throw me a needle and thread to sew the buttons back on. And my ribs, I wouldn't be able to breathe probably for weeks, you know what I mean, because they know exactly where they get you. I don't even know if I've had broken ribs, cracked ribs or what, but I've been in some nicks, laying cold, freezing cold, all night long. Because you're down the digger, you know, it's just a wee block somewhere away from all the main prison. And it's just, the digger screws are unique. Because you've got to be unique, because you're getting faced with people like me coming out with poo and all the rest of it, and my piss, and just trying to bite your nose off and everything. It is, if I'm being totally honest, you know, it's like, what do these men, it's like, it's the same with me. You treat me a certain way, I behave a certain way, but it's the same with them as well. It's just a big massive snowball of absolute violence and horrible hatred, and it's horrible. Most horrible place is the digger, you know. Because the men down the digger, all the other prison officers and the governors all know that they're the hard men, you know, they're able to deal with the hardest men in the jail that go down the digger. So these prison officers are special, you know. So, you know, but there's a fine line when you lose humanity a wee bit on both sides. There's no two ways about it. And, you know, bad things happen. A lot of worse things could have happened, but I have to tell you this now, nothing horrifically bad has ever happened to me at the hands of prison officers. I want to let that be known. But and I'm not going to say no more about that. So I can only talk about my personal experience. Bailey, this way, girl. It's too much. That's glass, sir. Good girl. Yeah, I can only speak about my personal opinion. But the whole point of this thing is like to give you an insight that how bad people can get, and how they, and it's difficult. Like I have spoke about it. It's really difficult to hang on to reality when you're in that environment. You got to understand it as an environment where you're on your own. You're not seeing any other prisoners. You don't have a TV. You don't have a radio. You don't have nothing. They give you a Bible to read, and that's it. You're lucky if you could close half the time. I've been put in the cells without even windows, sensory deprivation, big time. With a camera, infrared camera in the corner. I could tell you stories after stories, and this was all when I was a really young man, 18, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, yeah, really bad, but, I done bad things. I was a bank robber. I was robbing building societies. I deserve to be in prison. There's no two ways about it. But what I'm trying to say is, there's a lot of people like me that aren't bad, but on record, they look terrible. They look terrible. And, I keep on saying at the very start, I was just crying out for help. I was wanting attention. I was in a children's. I had so much attention from my mum because it was just me and her. This is what I think, from what I've learned about myself. Like my mum was so loving to me because she didn't think she could have kids. She had me in her 40s. I came along. I was a wee bundle of joy. I was the apple of her eye. I've been told that, so I know I would have got so much love. I was only from born to 8. That's all I had. So it's difficult, but I know that she definitely loved me more than any mother could love a child, and that's as simple as that. And I think when she left me, when she died, that would have been difficult for that young man to deal with, and it breaks my heart when I think about it. It really does, because it's me. That wee man's me, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think it was a lot of frustration and being in a children's home with loads of other kids, 20 other kids and only maybe 2 or 3 members of staff, and trying to get attention, because everybody's trying to get attention because we're all from broken homes. We're all kids that have got problems, and and then it just went from that violence and then getting pinned down, and it's difficult. It's difficult because I was a wee toe rag. There's no two ways about it, But then that just continued in the prison, and obviously the authority of the prison officers just replaced the children's home staff, but they were more brutal, and the more brutal they were with me, the more brutal I was with them, and that's exactly all it was. It was the environment I went into. I behaved exactly how that environment expected me to behave. That's what they're used to. They're used to people doing stuff with their poo. They're used to people attacking them. They jumped. My door used to never get opened unless they were all masked up with shields and padding and all that, and 3 or 4 of them all at a time. Everywhere I went, I had 4 of them to take me to visits, or take me to legal visits, or take me to wherever. You didn't go very far, but sometimes you need to go to a doctor's or something, and you needed to leave the block. You would be escorted. And being a wee man, I felt like a class A prisoner, and a swagger and all that. There was all that as well, 110%, The head was shot. The reality was gone. It was my reality was just institutions, establishments, prison officers, When you do something wrong, you get hammered, you get beat, you get punished, There was no love or anything like that. That left as soon as my mum died, and I adjusted to that. And like I say, if it wasn't for my mum, see, if my mum hadn't took me to school, Sunday school and church, and bought me all the stuff that she bought me, the colouring books about the Bible, and the wee cartoon books about the Bible, the stories of the Bible and cartoon, and if I hadn't learned the story about Jesus and Moses and the brothers, and all the different stories are in the Bible, and I honestly think I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I would have been so lost. Somebody would have killed me. They would have had to kill me. I would have given people no choice. I would have been so dangerous. I would have been so dangerous to people that they would have just, because that's what happens. It doesn't matter how hard you are, how mad you are. Some situations in this world where I stay in the working class areas, some people will just off you, and it's not a problem. You don't hear about it because people just disappear, and it's normally people like me that don't have families. Nobody misses them. It's like that. It's like making a cup of tea for some guys, and people don't know that. People don't realise that because it's not all over the news. Now I know people that's got double figures in the ground, double figures, I know loads of people like that, so I do. And it's nothing, absolutely nothing, you know. But that's just all part of the working class. It's also all part of what happens with kids with broken homes, go through children's homes, then they go through prisons, then they become absolute animals. You treat a human being like an animal, you're going to behave like an animal. So what's the solution? I don't know. What else do you do? But it's definitely not right. And there's no many people can come out and talk about it like I can, you know, because I'm leaving quite a lot out for YouTube, you know what I mean? Because I have to be careful what I say, you know what I mean, and how I say it and stuff like that. I can only be honest and give you my opinion and tell you that this is for entertainment purposes and educational purposes only. That's all I can do, as far as like save myself from being honest about what I've been through and what I've dealt with in life. And it's sad, you know. It's sad that like they want to shut me down, and you know they don't like, you know, because of who I am and my beliefs, you know. I just think I'm just a normal guy. I see myself like everybody else, but I've been through hell. But I'm just like everybody else now. I've managed to level back off again, and it's taken me a long time to level back off again. It was so hard coming out of prison and trying to adjust. It's, you know, staring, growling at people, not growling, but it is, you feel, in prison you don't drop your eyes. If somebody looks at you, you don't drop your eyes, you know. And if they continue staring at you, you ask them what their problem is. Simple as that. If you don't, then you're just going to get walked over. You know what I mean? You're just going to be, it's not even worth thinking about. So yeah, not everybody's bad. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, there's a lot of men in prison. They're in there and they're surviving. They're behaving away. They're acting. They're becoming somebody they're not. You know, and it's just really sad. So it is. It's really sad. I mean, that's just a small part of some of the stuff. Like I say, a lot of stuff I can't talk about. You know, a lot of stuff I've done to people in prison I've never been charged with, you know. And I never will get charged with it because it's prison. Who cares? You know, but, you know, it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Like I say, I don't want to keep going on about the same stuff. I'll try and have a wee bit of variety. I've got a video coming out tonight, and basically it's about the intelligence services and, you know, just my opinion and stuff like that. Again, it's just that's what I know, and growing up in Northern Ireland and being around the security services and seeing how they've worked and how they infiltrate different organisations and how they listen to us and stuff, and how they gather intelligence and stuff like that. And just, I'm going to touch it'll be about that, and it's touching on a couple of other things, you know what I mean. And like I say, it's just my opinion, you know, and I'll touch a wee bit more about me, you know. I like to put a wee bit of me in, and I think I'm doing that. To be honest, I'm just going to be totally honest, is because when I'm doing these videos and the people are really hating me, you know, because I know the ones that I'm talking about will be hating me, the government, the far left, you know, the fascists, you know, the hating that I'm saying all this, you know, and they'll be looking for things. And so I like to make it clear that, you know, this is who I am. I don't apologise to nobody, and I don't mean to hurt anybody. I've got no hatred in my heart, and I just want to bring people together peacefully, everybody. But if everybody's not willing to come together, it's not my fault. Don't blame me. Don't take that out on me. You know what I mean? We are opening our doors, obviously, but, you know, if the yin and yang isn't happening, that's not my problem. Don't take all your frustrations out on me, you know. I'm just one guy in a forest. Just one guy in a forest telling people that I've got time in their life to listen to somebody's experience some stuff and try and give an opinion, because maybe one day they've got somebody in the same situation, or they know somebody whose family's been in the same situation, and that person's always known as a really bad person. Oh, he does this and he's a horrible, evil, nasty piece of work. Well, that's been said about me over and over again, and I'm not. I'm really not. You know, like, I've never steal off anybody. I'm not a thief. I'm none of them things. You know, there was one time not so long ago, a woman left a, like, I'm skint all the time. My money never lasts. And there was a lot of money sitting in a like a purse full on top of a car. The woman fucking got into her car and fucking drove away. And I was driving behind her, and like, so I've jumped out straight away. Now, this is the thing, it would never enter my mind to take anybody's money, no matter how skint I was. It would just never enter my mind. That's a crazy. Why would you do that? That's how I am. You know, the guy beside me, maybe not. That was there with me. He would have been no problem with me just grabbing that and. Fucking, how do you do? Thank you very much. But no, I make sure she got it back, you know, and it wasn't even a thank you, you know what I mean? But that happens, it's happened, you know, it's happened quite a lot, because I am super, super honest. That's one thing about me. I live a very, very fine line, and I keep on saying, I don't do nothing, and nobody hasn't done anything bad to me. It's as simple as that. You go leave me alone and just let me get on with my life. I'll never bother a soul, you know. That's just the way it is, and I'm trying to get round that as well. I touched on that in the other video as well about my mental health and how I struggle with social skills. So it'll be a good video to catch, guys. If you've stuck to this one, you're definitely going to like that one. I'll probably put it about 7 or 8 o'clock. So if you want to bookmark it or save it for whenever you're chilling or you're waiting for something, you know, whatever waiting queue you're in, because we know what it's like in Britain. You can always stick that on, stick your headphones in, because you don't need to watch it, you just need to hear it, you know. But yeah, it's quite an interesting one, I think. Quite controversial. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But thanks again for listening. I'm Freedom Dad 73 on all platforms. You know, give me a wee subscribe if you're not subscribed. It just takes 2 seconds to click on the icon of me and then just subscribe. You don't need to do nothing else, personalise and all that. You know, I don't even know what it means. But yeah, do that. I'm on X. If you're on X, Freedom Dad 73, give us a wee follow there, because if I ever get taken down off YouTube, then you'll always know where I'm going to pop up again. Yeah, and like I say, I'll try to bring you content that you're not going to get anywhere else on TV and stuff like that. The things that people don't want to tell you about prison and the hardships and what men go through and how bad people can be, you know. Because I have got some stories, like, you know what I mean. But like I say, it's trying to find out, you know, with YouTube and that. But I think they should be all right, you know what I mean. It's, you know, I'm trying to bring people together, you know. All religions, Muslim, Catholic, Protestant, Sikh, Jews, all that. You know, in my perfect world, we're just men with skin and we all bleed, you know. But some people just aren't like that. Some people just don't accept me the way I accept them. And that's where I have the problem, as you can see. A lot of love, guys. God bless all of you, and hope you have a fantastic Saturday.